Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome to Arsenal Fan TV, and we have just beaten Middlesbrough by 2-0 to ensure that we are progressing to the next round of the FA Cup. What a great game it was, especially that first half performance. An absolutely immaculate display by Arsenal. The second half was a little bit shaky, a little bit tedious, and I think we did make it a little bit more difficult for ourselves than we had to. It reminded me of that Leicester game in a few too many ways. I think especially in that second half, there was always the feeling that if Middlesbrough had got a goal back in the game, then it would have been really back to the walls kind of thing, and it really would have been a bit shaky from there on in. But fortunately, I thought the defensive performance was really good today, and the team lineup was certainly an exciting one. The first thing I want to talk about is Gabriel making his debut. In the preview, I did say that I had a few negatives about it, a few queries about it, but I think Gabriel was absolutely immaculate today. There were a few shakes with him, that's completely natural, a few communication issues with some of his peers, but I thought overall he did really well with the players that were around him. Koscielny, I thought he did a really good job of mentoring him. Very, very, very disciplined, that's what I like about him, and moreover, what I like about him is that he's no nonsense. We've had so many players in the past, defenders, that will keep the ball and they will not clear it. This guy gets rid of it straight away, no nonsense whatsoever. I really like that about him, and he put in a really good shift today. Him and Koscielny, I thought they worked really well together, and he looks like he could be a long-term solution for when Mertesacker eventually does depart the club. Kieran Gibbs coming back into the frame of things, the next defender coming back into the side. He was class, absolute class today, going forward and tracking back. He was involved in our first goal, really good build-up play by him, absolute class performance by him today. And Callum James coming back into the squad, a fairly solid and renowned performance by him. That's what I like to see, but I do still think that his position in the club should be solidified as a centre-half, but he had a really good game today, so I don't want to take anything away from him. The other talking point is Matthew Flamini starting in central defensive midfield. I think a lot of people will feel the same as me when I saw the team sheet and Flamini was the one starting in that central defensive midfield role. Obviously, I felt a little bit deflated about it. Coughlin's been playing so well. Flamini, when he has played for us this season, has been a little bit off the ball. I mean, the guy in front of me at the game was literally almost in tears at the prospect of Flamini starting the game. But Flamini had a good game today, I've got to be honest. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy. I think that when his contract's up at Arsenal, I do think it's time for him to depart the club. But he had a good performance today. He did really well defensively, he tried really hard for the team, was even good going forward at times. But that's the one criticism I've got of Flamini, and I think this is the difference between him and Coughlin. Nowhere near as disciplined as Coughlin is. Goes forward way too much, and at times that leaves us very open on the counter. And against Middlesbrough, a team that are very good at counter-attacking with Tomlin, etc., I think that was a little bit of a defensive weakness for us. But overall, he had a very decent performance, and it was certainly good to see that from him. Alexis Sanchez started the game after coming back from an injury and not a very good performance against Leicester, but he was class today, absolute solid performance. Danny Welbeck starting on the flank, again, a good game from him, and our work ethic on the flanks was really good tracking back, and we looked really good going forward. The thing that excited me most about this game was we kind of lined up in a 4-1-4-1, Flamini the holding midfielder, and then Santi Cazorla and Mesut Ozil playing in both an advanced role with them two cohesing. They were absolute class with Welbeck and Alexis on the flanks. They were running the show. It's really hard to pick who my man of the match would be. Would it be Santi Cazorla? Would it be Mesut Ozil? Would it be Olivier Giroud? Would it be Alexis Sanchez? A really good team performance in that first half. Giroud's goals were absolute quality, but Mesut Ozil's through balls, running the show, absolute class, and Cazorla put in a really good work ethic as well. And it's good to see that those two players were really bonding for the first time this season. I know they obviously haven't played that much, but I thought in that game against Leicester they didn't really work too well together. They were occupying each other's spaces, but in this game they knew exactly where each other would be, and they linked up to a really good standard. Also, Santi Cazorla was our captain today. Bit of an odd choice personally, I'd have gone with Koscielny, but you know, I'm happy for him to get the armband. It was obviously going to be a good experience for him, and he's been a very loyal player to the club in recent years, so it was good to see that. Good to see Cazorla get the captain's armband. But getting into the game itself, we started it off really quickly. We started it off on the front foot. Middlesbrough barely had a shot on target for about 20-25 minutes. We were really dominating the game, really controlling it. It looked like we wanted to fly out the doors and get an early goal. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get a goal as early as we would have wanted to, but the goal that we did get, it was absolute class. Lovely, patient, subtle build-up play to it, and I think the really interesting underlying fact is that every single Arsenal player touched the ball in the build-up to the goal, which really just identifies the Arsenal philosophy, and I'm sure Wenger will be very pleased with how this goal occurred. I think it started at the back, Gabriel playing it forward to Flamini, Flamini playing it forward to Cazorla or Ozil, and then eventually, I think it was Cazorla played it in to Kieran Gibbs on the left-hand side. Quality ball into Olivier Giroud, couldn't really miss. Great goal by Giroud to make it 1-0. A goal that we thoroughly deserved because it reflected our dominance on the game. and it was a good goal for Olivier Giroud to get, because I would say he's come under a little bit of scrutiny recently. He didn't do much in the game against Tottenham, and when he came off the bench against Leicester, he really failed to make an impact, but it was good for his confidence to get that goal. And then shortly after, I think this goal is absolute class from Giroud. It was a great corner, first of all, by Alexis Sanchez. I think it was Sanchez that took it, I'm pretty sure it was. But it was really, really well worked. The Middlesbrough defence completely fell to sleep. We took advantage of that. If you look at the replay, they're all talking to each other whilst the game's going on, trying to organise their defence. Giroud makes a great run, loses his man, and then plants it past the keeper. A great goal from him. The acute angle he was at, very hard to do that. It looked a lot easier in the moment, but watching that back, absolute class by Olivier Giroud. Couldn't be more happy for him. 2-0 going into the half. Couldn't really have asked for much more. I'd certainly have taken that, but we should have made it 3 or 4. Not just in that first half, but also in that second half. It really did feel a little bit cagey at times. Although we were dominating the game in spells, Middlesbrough, after about the 60-minute mark, really came into it a lot more. Asserted the game, grabbed it by the scruff of the neck, and were applying a lot of pressure onto us. I felt that they really struggled to break our midfield down, but there was always that uncertainty that if they were to get a goal, their fans would go mental, they'd get behind them, and it could have been really, really, really shaky. Fortunately, we saw the game out. It shouldn't have been that difficult for us, though. We should have got a third goal. It was a bit disappointing to see that, but you can't really take much from what was such a... I can't really take a lot away from what was such a superb first half performance from Arsenal, but we should have shut the game down in that second half especially, which you could argue we effectively did, because we didn't concede. The defence held firm. And we kept it tight at the back. Szczesny came into the team again, forgot to mention him. He didn't really have a lot to do. He did make some decent saves, but I can't really judge him too heavily. Like I say, he didn't have a lot to do, but it was good to see that he's kept a clean sheet. It's going to be good for his confidence, and interesting to see in that game against Palace whether Ospina or Wojciech Szczesny will start the game. Of course, Middlesbrough did have a chance late on in the game where they hit the bar. I think Szczesny had that covered, in fairness to him, but that was the real clear-cut chance that I can remember from Middlesbrough. Apart from that, I can't really comment too much on the game. It was a really good performance from us, especially in the first half. Second half, I still think there are things that need to be improved upon, but the defensive display was really good. Gabriel making his debut, Flamini having a good performance. Lots of competition and depth within the squad now. It's what I like to see. Really, really pleased with how the team performed today, and we can take this into that very difficult away trip to Selhurst Park at the weekend, and then we've got a massive game against Monaco, which I'm absolutely thriving for. Really looking forward to that game. Some exciting times coming up for Arsenal. We're through to the next round of the Cup. Hopefully we can go on to win it. Only Liverpool and Man United really stand in our way, but we can't underestimate anyone. We can only beat what's in front of us in the next round. I think the draw's tomorrow, so hopefully we'll get a favourable draw at home if possible. Anyone but United away, that's just a draw I really would dread. But anyway guys, those have been my thoughts on Arsenal's 2-0 victory over Middlesbrough in the FA Cup 5th round. If you've enjoyed the video, do make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Arsenal Fan TV, and do check out my own channel, AFC Game by Game, and I'll speak to you soon guys.